Okay. So here we are going to discuss about data engineering, which will be covering your data science and data analytics as well. And completely it is depending upon your effort as well, how much we are putting here, including generative AI. This module I have added newly to this batch. In my previous batch, it was not there, but I thought that I should have included here because going forward, we are seeing how much it is trending, like AI and all. So we should be aware about this if we are knowing about that. And because of that only, duration also has been extended. It was previously for 3 months only, but now it will be around 4 months. Then if we talk about this big data, Hadoop and data engineering, then very first question is why we are here and why this is trending. And we see that many kind of job profiles are there which is coming and going, but this is still trending by when it is in the market. The reason is the data. Data is growing a lot every day, right? Previously, if we see how what was the form of data, we were working with the registers offline. We were making the entries and all. Then the computer era came when we were maintaining the data over the Excel, Words, Access and all. Then slowly we got handset and smartphones, mobiles and all. Then data got generated with too much speed, where we see that with the sensors, with the data, with the different kind of chips, with different kind of social media apps and all, everywhere data is keep on generating. Like let's say if we are having the mobile, then we are having varieties of social media apps and all, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter and all. And every platform is keep on generating the data. If you talk about the business and all, for the business also everyone is trying to move online, including or excluding offline, because offline is having the good business, that's the traditional, but they are thinking that online they can connect globally. Because let's say I you are in Bangalore, then you can connect with Bangalore people only offline, but if you are having a store online, then even nearby to Bangalore, or you can say the complete India or global level. You can sell your product, you can buy the product. So that's what online businesses are happening, and everyone is trying to switch. And in that way, again, data is keep on generating. And based upon the previous data, based upon the history data, companies are keep on doing the analysis, keep on trying to understand their customers, that what better they can do. Because if they are understanding their customer, then they can try to do the best either for the delivery part or support part or product part, whatever. Let's say customers are giving feedback that this product is not good and this is the problem, then in the next delivery they can make sure that okay, last time I got this feedback, next time try to avoid that feedback. I should do something that I will not repeat the same. So that's how companies are keep on working. And for that, they need the data, either the current data or the history data. And because of that, data is keep on growing. And this trend is never going to be end, we can say for sure. In data engineering, data science side, tech stacks can be changed. Like today we are talking about AI, ML, generative AI and all. It was not previously. It has got added. That means we are upskilling. We are enhancing our skill set. That doesn't mean that data engineering or data science got ended. No, something keep on updating, and we are trying to upgrade ourselves. That's only. So we need to upgrade. We need to update, but module will be same, and that will be always, because data is never going to be end. So data is keep on growing, and the main challenge is dealing the data. Like here, if you see, according to the latest estimation, this much million terabytes of data are created each day. Each day means, let's say some companies are keep on generating the data with the same volume. Then how it will be handled? Because problem is and challenge is not only to handle the data. Challenge is to be with the quality. Quality also required, timing also required. If you have to process in 1 minute, then only 1 minute. You cannot take 2 minutes because you will be late, right? So we have to work accordingly. So we have to process the data, and for data processing, this big data, Hadoop and data engineering is a feature, because prior to that, when we did not have the data, no one had the handset, no one was clicking the photos, no one was recording the videos, no one was maintaining this much data. There was no sensors, no chips in the vehicles and all everywhere. That time data was less. So it was okay. We were good to process with the traditional model, like let's say the database. We had the database, MySQL, Oracle, Teradata, and many more. We were good to process, but the problem is that's the traditional, that is having the single server. Even you can maintain that, okay, if I need more then you can, but again that was expensive and that was not scalable. Because right now let's say you were launching a business and you are having some 10 GB of data to manage as of now, but tomorrow your business is growing and then you need 100 GB, then you need 1 TB, 2 TB, 10 TB and all, then how it will be? So we should have a system that can manage all the data without any blockage, and if we can process in parallel model, that without losing any data, without missing anything, with the time, with the quality, how we can do that, so that we can achieve in the data side, including our big data tech stacks. Okay, now about this training, who all can take? So this I have designed in a way that you can completely start from the beginning. Even if you don't know SQL, you don't know Python, that is required, but nobody, we can take care of that. And you have to go slowly, one by one. No rush that I am missing that, I am missing that. No, not needed. Just be calm and take one by one, step by step, and you will be getting everything. If you are a fresher, then again, this is a good thing. You can start because you don't know anything. You have to start your journey. Then you have a good choice that where you want to start. And according to your interest, you can do the better. Then for the professionals, of course, if we are the professional, then we can choose it for either for shifting the career or grooming in the same. Let's say I am the data engineer and I want to learn something more which I don't know. Then I can take it. So for experienced professional also, either you are in the same domain or you want to shift, that is good. Or like I have mentioned here, like marketing, operations, support and all. Then non-tech profiles. Uh, Not for all, but we have seen that many more who are having good degrees from good colleges and all, but somehow they could not get it in their initial phase, and they have landed into a different profile, let's say non-tech and all, and they want to do the transition. Then, of course, this is a good chance we can do that. Technical profiles like IT support, software, hardware, networking, and many more profiles are there where you have got it. Maybe your salary is also good, your profile is also good, but still you are not satisfied, you are not happy. Then we can do that. IT and tech support, where either you are from the admin side or DevOps side, or maybe in the development only, or you are working with the supporting tickets, troubleshooting, and many more. Then you can do that. Multi-skill professional. Multi-skill professional where let's say you know something, let's say you know Hadoop, but you want to learn cloud as well. You know Azure, you want to learn AWS as well. So if we want to make ourselves multi-skill professional, because if we are multi-skilled, then opportunities are more for us. Okay. Let's say someone is knowing Hadoop. If HR or recruiter are calling that I am looking for a Joe developer, then of course that person is going to be filtered out because he doesn't know or she doesn't know. If we know, then that still we can say yes, and our profile will be going in shortlist. We are getting shortlisted in the interview or not, that's second phase. But first we have to initiate that. We have to be in the initial phase, right? So multi-skill professionals are always in the demand. We can make it for ourselves as well. And only thing is good learner. So here I at the very last point I have mentioned good learner, that for anything either that is very easy or very hard or average level, we have to be good learner. We have to be consistent. We have to keep some dedication. Then we can work on improving our skill set. So if you are matching from any, we can go through that. And then here I have mentioned just the data engineering average salary. That is what going in the market right now. Again, this is not the fixed one. It can be here and there. Even I can say many here and there, but it will be for the average people. It will be. So if anyone is having around 2 to 5 years of experience, they are easily getting like 10 LPA to 15 LPA, and maximum salary they can land up to 20 to 5, 20 to 25. I have mentioned here, but for 5 years professional, I am seeing that they are working with 30 plus as well. That's the very normal, very normal thing as of now. If I am talking about 2024 and 2025, that's the very common. Even freshers are landing with the 10 LPA and 12 LPA. So that's the very normal. Then if we talk about 5 to 10 years, then again people are doing good. They are joining with minimum 10 to 12 LPA. Their average salary, they're going with 22, 26, 20, 30, I can say. And maximum they can go up to 45 as well. Similarly, for 2012, minimum if we talk, then they are getting 20 to 25 LPA. Average salary is 40 to 50 LPA, and maximum here I have mentioned 40 to 60, but I am seeing that people are getting up to 80 as well if they are in the good product based company. For 15 to 20, again, according to the experience, if your experience is growing, your responsibilities keep on growing, and your salary again, it is going to grow according to your requirement, your liabilities, your responsibilities, and everything. So here it is 40 LPA minimum. Minimum means if you are in the service based, or service based also offering too good right now. I will not talk about all, but average level I can say. But any company you are going to work, they are not going to offer less than that. Average salary 50 to 60 LPA you can get, and maximum salary can be 60 plus 70 plus LPA. And when you are getting a lot like 20 plus years of experience, then you are into the list of senior managers, directors, and all. Then minimum salary would be 50 to 60, average is kind of 70 to 80, and maximum salary we can't say. This is again depending upon the company, depending upon your communication, your relation with the company, and everything. And here you can land up with minimum 1 CR, or it can be 2 CR, 3 CR, 9 CR as well. Because recently I got to know about a lady. She's in IBM, she is doing good, and she is having around 9 plus CR in IBM itself. Initially, I was thinking that should I believe, but I had to believe because that was the fact. So that's how a market is growing, market is working. And now we have to focus not on the salary part. Don't focus on this slide to take care of that, because this is the thing which we are going to get as our result. First, we have to focus on the learning part. We have to make sure that we are confident, we are learning, we are getting everything. And then once we are good, we are confident, then of course we are going to get it as the result at the last. So this will be in our mind. We should be focusing on each and everything. Then what we are going to cover in this 4 month duration, we will be starting with Hadoop. Okay, because Hadoop is the backbone for data engineering. Initially, we were working with Hadoop only. Then cloud system came, Azure came, AWS came, GCP came. But initially in the backend, they have adopted model of Hadoop only, that how distributed model is working, how data is working in parallel. So system is adapted by the Hadoop. Even Hadoop is available with Azure also, with HD Insights, with the AWS also, with EMR, with GCP also. So everywhere it is present. And model for distribution model, replication, and everything is from Hadoop only. So we have to be with the good understanding. This is going to benefit you everywhere. Either you are working with the cloud or you are working with the Hadoop system, means on-premise. And again, there are lots of companies who are working with Hadoop and they have not yet migrated to the cloud, where we can have multiple healthcare related and banking related companies who are still working with Anpub. So there, if you are getting the calls from them, then you will be having the opportunity to work with that. So again, it's good if you know, you will not be having the chance to say, I don't know. Okay, so we will be covering Hadoop and HDFS. Initially, when I talk about Hadoop, when I started, then there were lots of tech stacks. Nowadays, we are working in the hybrid mode, or if you are working with Hadoop also, we are not working with that much, because now time got changed. Our tech stacks also got updated. So now in Hadoop side, we need to understand about what is Hadoop, and then HDFS means how file systems are getting managed with Hadoop. And then Hive. Hive is a kind of data warehouse and SQL integration, where if you know SQL, you can work with Hive very easily. Then MapReduce is the term. Previously, MapReduce is a kind of programming model where we are writing the logic that how my data will be get processed. Because in HDFS, we are storing the data, then our data should get processed. Then MapReduce was there. That was a Java code, and I can say that yes, it was very complex. But now we are not looking into that. We have to know the fundamental of this, that how MapReduce works, that we will be going through. But writing the codes and all not required, because nowadays out of 100 no one is writing the MapReduce code. If you are working with Hadoop internally, your code, your scripts will be getting changed, getting converted into MapReduce, and that will be working internally over the platform. But we are not going to write anything because it has been replaced with the Spark and all. So we are going to work with the Spark instead of focusing over MapReduce. But concepts should be required. You should know the concept, because if you know the concept, then you will be good to debug your jobs in Hadoop, mostly in the Hive side. So we will be discussing about that. Then SQL basics. If you are already good into SQL, then that's really very good. If you are not, then we will be taking care of that. Even with each of the module, you will be getting the requirement with SQL, and that is going to help you. Let's say Hive only. Here we are talking about Hive, right? So with Hive also, Hive is a Hive query language, which is kind of SQL query. So along with all, we are going to discuss about that things, so you will be comfortable. And parallelly, I will ask you to go through that and try to practice small things, so you will be comfortable. Then Linux and Unix basics. You have not to be too much pro with the commands and all, but there are few basic commands. Let's say 10 to 20 commands are there. You should know that, and you should be handy, because based upon the project, depending upon the project, you are going to work with the commands. If it is good if we know that, so that I will share. Don't worry about that, you will be good with it, either you know or don't know, doesn't matter. Then Spark side. Spark has been replaced with MapReduce, and that's why we are not working with MapReduce. We are doing all the logics, integration, codings, and all everything in Spark only. Here we are going to discuss about Spark with the basic to advanced. Okay, you can say zero to hero. We will be discussing each and everything in very detail with hands-on exercise, practicals, and all. Then next we have core Java basics. For the core Java, when we talk about Spark, if you are seeing that many companies are having different openings, then either in the same company or in different company, they can have different projects, and some projects are running with the Java, some are running with Scala, some are running with PySpark and all. So if that is the project is running with Java, maybe they are looking for someone who is good with Java. When it comes to Java, in data engineering side, advanced Java is not required. Core Java is enough. If you know, if you understand the code, if you can write the basics, that how to read, how to write, how to manage the files and data, then that would be enough. So core Java is enough here. Scala, that's a functional programming language. If you already know Java or Scala, then that's good. And if you are a learner, you are going to start from the scratch, then Java or Scala is not recommended. PySpark is better because that's easy to learn, okay, with the small syntaxes and all, and you can do great. So we will be taking this, we will be continuing with Python and PySpark. Bit we will be discussing with the Scala as well, because PySpark doesn't support data sets where we have data frame, data sets, and RDDs in the Spark, right? So data sets API is not available in the PySpark. For that, we will be discussing in Scala and extensively. If you want to work with the both Java and Scala, let's do parallel. And if you have any challenges, any issue, anytime we are open to discuss about that. For Python and PySpark, as I said, PySpark means Python plus Spark. That's why we say it PySpark means Spark integration, Spark implementation. We are going to do with the Python. And again, Python is required. So we will be discussing about basic Pythons. So that will be helping you to start. Then next we have topics like NoSQL database, where we have many more databases. Earlier we had traditional database, right? Like SQL Server and all. Now, as data is growing and we are not having same kind of data, like let's say Excel sheet, we are maintaining the data into Excel, and that is we are converting into kind of CSV format. Data has been changed. We are having structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. Structured data in the sense you are having CSV and all. Semi-structured kind of JSON and XMLs, and unstructured you are clicking the images, videos, making videos and all, how you will be handling that. So we are having NoSQL databases as well, which is helping us to handle with different kind of data where we have MongoDB, Cassandra, Cosmos DB, and many more. So offline, exploding to cloud, we will be discussing about the MongoDB. Cassandra is almost same. You can explore that as well. And Cosmos DB, we will be discussing with our Azure term. Then we have Kafka. Kafka, you can work either on-premise with Hadoop, or if you are working with Azure and AWS, again, you can enable your pipeline with Kafka and you can work with that. So we should know the term of Kafka where we can work with either batch model, data in the batch, or with the real-time data. When data is coming as soon as data is keep on landing, we should be good to process. So we will be discussing about Kafka as well, including hands-on and building the data pipeline with database, Kafka, Spark, and all. Then performance tuning and job debugging, where only doing the coding is not enough. We can write the code, even we can do the Google, right? We have lots of sources to writing the codes and all. But only writing the code is not the end goal. Including writing the code, we have to make sure that whatever I have did, that's the best. If not best, at least it is the better part. And how we are debugging the job in case of failures and all. So how we can make perfect our codings, how we can make sure that my job is performing better, and performance tuning should be required not only in the Spark or Kafka, it is required everywhere. Our job performance should be better. So we will be going through that. Then CI/CD pipelines overview. Of course, here we are not going to discuss much detail about the CI/CD pipeline, the DevOps model and all. But we will be going through the overview, okay, that how it works and the Jenkins pipeline deployment, how we work with the dev, UAT, testing and production, what all there. Then we are having Sonar Cube analysis and all for the code quality, right? Even if you are looking for the vulnerabilities, then we are having multiple things are there. Let's say, for example, I can say check marks, black duck and all. So we will be discussing about that overview. Then GitHub and GitLab. If you are into development side, coding side, then of course you are knowing about it because you are keep on contributing in the development and maybe you are pushing the code into GitHub and GitLab. But if not, in case you do not have the experience, you do not know about it, then we will be discussing about that. Not only in that case, we will be covering a session into that as well, and we can go through that. Then job schedulers. When you are working on premise, then we are having a different job scheduler. All the companies are having according to their requirement. I have not mentioned all. I have mentioned few only, like OG, which was with Hadoop. Then we have Control M, we have AutoSys, we have Airflow, which is trending right now. Mostly all the organizations are trying to migrate with the Airflow because this is good to integrate with the codes and Python and all. That's why. So we will be discussing about this, and then hands-on project will be for each of the module. Either this is Hadoop or Python or Azure or AWS. We will be having the project, and you have to work on that. Then when it comes to Azure, okay, what we are going to discuss at high level, this can be something here and there. Here and there means there will be no minus, there can be some plus. Okay, so here we will be discussing about Azure AD mostly. Then ADLS for our data storage, blob storage, then Azure Data Factory, Azure Functions, SQL databases, which is in Azure, then Cosmos DB, virtual machines, Databricks, and including that Synapse Analytics, Azure Monitor, and Event Hubs, Stream Analytics for handling the real-time data. Then we have App Services where we have Fabric model. Then I have included machine learning and cognitive services, open AI service, and cognitive search for building the AI related projects and POCs. Next, we have AWS model. Okay. So in AWS, we are having IAM where we care for all the access level. Then we have S3, object storage for the data. We can store either, as I said, we are having varieties of data with structure, unstructured, and semi-structure. So we will be going through. This is good to store and manage all kind of data. Then we are having Athena for Data analysis, you can say you can query the data which is available in the S3 and we can work with the SQL model. Then we are having Lambda functions. We have Glue for the ETL service. We have Redshift, this RDS, relational database in the AWS. Then we have Redshift that works as a data warehouse for the analytics where we can deal terabytes and petabytes of data. If we have good amount of data, we can say huge volume and we have to work with either with the migration or with the analytics, or we want to build up the dashboard in the real time and we want to reflect the output as soon as possible, means at the earliest model, then Redshift really works very well. Then we have DynamoDB, we have EC2 for the virtual servers where you can launch the number of machines you are looking for. Then we have EMR for big data processing with Hadoop and Spark. So let's say you have to work with Hadoop and Spark model, but you are working with AWS, not with the Unpub. Then you can work with EMR, and these are the tools which are mostly in use in most of the projects. Then we have CloudWatch. CloudWatch is something it is integrated with all the modules, all the tools, where you can monitor whatever is going on. So you can monitor that. Then we have SNS and SQS, that is for messaging and notification and maintaining the queue service. That if anything is going on, then either you want to on notification and either let's say success or failure. Either job is success or failure. If you want to have that in the email or the form of notification, you can do. With SQS, we can go with the messaging queue service. And then we have Kinesis. Kinesis supports in real-time data streaming. When let's say we are working with Anpum, then we are having Kafka. With Azure, you are having Stream Analytics, you are having Event Hubs. Event Hub is almost similar to Kafka. Here you are having Kinesis in AWS. So Kinesis is going to support you with again with the real-time data streaming. Then we have Amazon SageMaker, that is for machine learning. Okay, SageMaker recognition and comprehend. Even I will be adding two more tool here, so that will be giving you an opportunity to explore more about AI, ML, and AI related tasks where you can work on building, training, and deploying the models and working with the images and videos. And right now NLP is keep on trending, that is natural processing language. Okay, so we will be working with that. Then we have in the generative AI, LLM, and machine learning model, we will be covering the generative AI, where your chat GPT model is there. And then we are having LLMs, we are having machine learning, we have deep learning, natural language processing, and many more. So for these, you will be having the tools in AWS also, you will be having the tools in Azure also, in GCP also, and independently also you can work. So while we are discussing with the clouds, then also we will be covering the tools, and then finally we can bind up everything with the POC and project. So you will be having a clear understanding that what you can do, and in future whenever you get an opportunity to work with the real time project, then that will be a easy step for you. Okay, so this is what we are going to cover in the session. And then finally, resume preparation. I know that you are already experienced one. Then, if you are already good, then fine. If you need the help, then you can just share the resume. We will be working. Means I can support you for the resume preparation and all. Mock interviews again. If you are thinking that you should be going through the mock interviews and at either one session, two session, or three session, we are always open. Just share your timing and concepts wherever you are prepared, and you will be getting the call, and we will be doing the interviews. So you will be a bit confident that okay, where I am and where I am lacking. So you will be getting your minus point as well. That what is the problem with me, what is the thing I am lacking, and which topic is kind of not covered. Covered in the sense for you have not prepared, so you can get all those points and well, and you can have that. So just you can prepare and you can let me know whenever you are ready for the mock interviews, and then we can schedule call for this. Then continuous support, I am always good to provide that. I believe that if we are here, then we should be supportive for each other. Without support we can't grow, right? So until unless you get the job for and you are happy that okay, for what purpose I was here, you think that I am good now, until then I am good to have you in the session, you can always join and you can learn, you can do that. So until unless you get the offer, you can be there, that is not an issue, there is no additional fee, additional charge, anything is there, just continue. Then I can say the final thing, either me or anyone else who is going to cover the session in between for some classes, we will be always trying our better. You will be getting for with the people who are having real time experience and they are a good professional either with the teaching firm or with the real time hands on project. So we will be trying our best. Honestly, we will try to do whatever we can. We can try to deliver the best thing so you can get more confident. For job support, of course, we can't offer you directly the offer letter, but we can make sure that you are having much confident and you are confident at a level that you can, whenever you are getting the calls, and let's say you are going to attend few interviews. Let's say you are attending some 5 to 10 interviews. Out of that, at least you should land the offer. So we will be trying at the level that you are developing the interest, including your confident, and with your confident level on your own only, you will be getting the job genuinely. That's what we can. Additionally, we can help you with the referrals and all, whatever referrals are possible. Always we will be good to do that. So that will be helping you. Affordable fee, of course, I can say that it is, because if you are thinking that it's not, you can check out outside as well. Then you will be good to compare. And then real time projects, you will be getting almost I share the exercises with all the modules, and real time projects will be there. You have to do that strictly. If you are not doing, then you are that will be kind of lacking system for you. If you are doing that, then you will be keeping ahead and that will be a plus point for you. Then finally, we have covered that what we are going to discuss in this entire session, in this entire complete around 4 month session. If you have any question for me, then just let me know. We can discuss before we start with the actual learning module. Anyone has any question?
Yeah, Namita, I have some.
Yes.
So, Namita, will be doing product for every cloud services like Azure separately, AWS separately,
Yes.
and for the generative AI part.
All will be separate only.
So we'll be doing the generative AI project as well. No?
Sorry.
We'll be doing project for generative AI as well.
Right. So the thing is, AI
Yeah.
ML tools are integrated with all the models. In Hadoop side, if we talk about on-prem, everything is independent. When we talk about cloud side, then in Azure, Azure is saying that, okay, I am having Azure ML, I am having OpenAI, I am having this model. So you are going to work with that, but model will be, let's say Azure ML, AI ML. Then you are going to work with machine learning only, right? You should get the
Yeah.
context and concept of that. If we are working with AWS, let's say SageMaker. SageMaker is a tool which is going to help you in the building models, then building the models, then the models and all. So we will be getting and we will be going through the concepts in cloud as well, whatever tools are available, and excluding means let's not talk about the cloud. Out of cloud also we can do a lot, right? We are not having the dependency with the cloud. So when we are working with the cloud, then it's fine. And when we are not working with the cloud, then also we can do that. So offline, I can say excluding to cloud and all, we will be doing the POC with Gen AI model.
Okay. And Namita, one more thing. Okay. Like related to mock interviews, as I'm preparing for Azure Data Engineering for last 3 to 4 months. Okay. And I
Mhm.
have given interviews like 12 to 15 interviews till now, and I haven't got any offer yet.
Okay.
So I need a regular mock-up interview, class from your side, so I can bear the upcoming interviews.
So what you can do, not regular, you
Yeah,
can tell me either weekly or bi-weekly, and then we will
yeah,
be, as you are saying that you are lacking somewhere, right? So we can say
yes,
the
yes.
minus point where you are lacking and where you should improve yourself.
Sure. So
And
at least we have to
accordingly,
do.
you can work on that.
Okay, sure, sure.
Okay, and that will be
So,
very helpful for you.
okay, okay. So, Anamika, will be starting Azure first or AWS or
No, we will be starting with Hadoop because Hadoop is
okay,
required to take anything. That's the backbone, I can say.
okay, okay. So probably it will be taking 1 month first of the month for the Hadoop map review things.
Uh, Not 1 month. It can be less as well. It can be
Okay.
around. Yeah.
It can be known, but just for the surety, from the second month we'll be starting the Azure, I can say.
The thing is, if you are
Yeah,
starting anything, we are here, everyone is not experienced people, right? Some are freshers,
yeah,
some are
yeah.
completely new. So we have to go with the steps. If we skip the
Okay,
steps, then we will be struggling.
got it,
Mostly
got it.
who are the new. And let's say
Mm.
in AWS, you have EMR, that is MapReduce service. If you don't know MapReduce service, what you will do there, right?
Yeah, got it.
So
That's the
we
point.
have to understand that. So that's why
Yeah.
we will be going in a way that we can get each and everything one by one. That will be good.
No, my concern is, Anamika, that I got laid off last year of September. Okay, so and my gap period is increasing. That's why I was saying that.
No
What
issue.
will the probability?
We can work with you. That's what I said. You share your detail, and you are lacking somewhere in the interviews. I can completely understand that. We can help you. We can tell you where you should work and all. And when we are starting with the Azure just in a month, then again you will be on the track, and we can discuss a lot about that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So for the certification part, Anamika,
Uh-huh.
this certification is very much important for the getting interview calls or something like that.
If you are planning for Azure or if you are planning for AWS or maybe something else, it differs according to our interest and according to our plan, right? If you are planning for
Yeah.
Azure, then you can take any, you can start with the associate, means beginning level, beginning to middle level,
Okay.
not the
Yeah.
professional level. You can take, I will not say about more, you can take at least one, okay? Either fundamentals and all. If you are planning about AWS, then again you are having data engineers level,
Okay.
associate level, that you can take it. If you are, and additionally, Hadoop level is not required. Beginning it was required initially, but now it's not required. And then you are planning for ML, AI ML side, then you are having generative AI is available with Azure also, AWS also, and with Databricks also. If you want to do that, then you can try out. If you are having more experience and you are looking for solution architect kind of, there also I can share some content with you people and you can try out that. And for generative AI and all, of course, I can help if anyone is planning to do the certification.
Okay. Okay. Anamika, got it. Yeah, and
Okay,
yeah.
fine then. Then I believe that anyone has any question or we can move ahead.
No questions from my side.
Okay,
Nam-
fine then. Then let's come on track. Where I will be sharing one of the document. Let me go here and this Cloudera and VM setup. So first we are going to work with Hadoop. Okay. With the Hadoop, what you have to do, we have to set up this in our system where we can do the exercises. Here on this Google Drive, I have uploaded the software which you can install and you can work with that. You will be getting, let me click here. And I should have taken over the another new tab. So if you see, you are having this 7G and then you have Cloudera Quick Start VM and you have VirtualBox. You can check out if there is latest model of latest version of VirtualBox is there, you can download that as well. Otherwise, this is also fine. I had uploaded it around 6 months back. So in July last year, right? Around 10 months is there, 8 to 10 months. Then that it is okay. And then Cloudera. So you have to just download both or alt third you can say, and then you have to set up in your system. I will just show you how you can set up, and then we can start with Linux and HDFS commands here. If you go, I have mentioned everything in this document that you have to download these three. This is for the Google Drive. You can take this Cloudera Quick Start, and from the Google, you can take the latest version for the VirtualBox and the 7G. Again, if you want, you can download from here itself, not required to go with the Google. And then additional things which you need for the further classes, like download the database. Not now, but next we need it for your hands-on exercise and all. Either Postgre or any SQL server you can set up in your system locally. Then downloading all the Java setups using system environment variables and all. Then installing and doing the setup for a Spark 3 module. Installing Hadoop version, which is compatible with your Spark version. And nowadays, if you are going for the Spark one, then that will be coming as a package only. So no need to worry much about that. Anyway, we will be doing that. Then we have to set up the Kafka and then MongoDB that will be working offline, means excluding to cloud side. When we are moving to cloud, then mostly tools we will be doing the exercise with cloud only. Then this is for resetting environment variable. If you are not aware, then you can set up the environment variable like this, like Hadoop home, Java home, PySpark driver and all. So let's say here if I talk about edit environment variable, then here you can say, right? So edit environment variable where you can go with the environment variable, and here you can see the like Java home. I have set up this. I have set up for the PyCharm again, and then you can say PySpark Python. So like that, you have to set up the environment variable. Okay. Then you have to add in path as well, whatever you are setting the environment variable. Like let me go one more time. Edit environment variable. And here you can see we have environment variable, then you have path. This is the path. You can go and you can edit it. Okay, right now this is not opening properly, but it's okay. So you can edit here all the things, like here you can say this is for MongoDB. If you say this is for WinUtils, like that. So you have to add that in your path. You can set up that. Then once this is done, then we are good to, that was just the thing we have to do in our system, but not today, because going forward in the classes, we need one by one all, and not in a single day that you go and you do keep on doing all the things. That is okay. We can do one by one whenever it is needed. That is just mentioned for your reference. That's what we have to do. Then for this Cloudera VM setup, how you can do. So I will go with my folder where I have already downloaded. Okay. And here, if you see, I have this folder where I have downloaded this Cloudera Quick VM and this VirtualBox. This one I have already unzip here. Okay, this will be the zip when you will be downloading compressed. And you see, this is around 4 GB. So only thing is your system should be having good RAM, at least 6 to 8 GB, because it needs some memory. Yeah, you need to allocate that. And the good thing is you set up this, you do the exercise, and once you are done, then I will recommend that simply remove that. Whenever next again you need, then import that, because this is just a few minutes task. Then for that only, why we will be keep on burdening our laptop, not required. Whenever you need, just add that, import that, work that, do the exercise. Once you are done, then remove that. So your system will be in the healthy state, because you are going to free up memory, whatever it is acquiring. Okay. So here if you see, I have already unzip it, and then I have got this too. If I will go with this, then if let me click on this one, then you can see two are here, right? So I have unzip it already, and then I have this one. I have not even installed this also. So let me install it. Okay. And then once this is installed, then you can import this, whatever you have already extracted. So this will be keep on installing, and let it get installed. Then we will be doing that. Okay, this is done. Now let me open virtual machine. So this is installed. So you can see after installation, you can see file, machine and help, right? This is looking for either import and export, and this is for it. So here again, you have all the options. Let's go to file. And this is asking for import and export. Import and export means we want to take, export means we want to give, right? Take and give model. So import, we want to take the external things to our system. Okay, you have to do only this import thing. Go to import and then file location where we have extracted. So I have extracted here. I will be taking from this folder. So let me go to this and I will go to my T and training. And here you see I have already this extracted part. This one I can see, right? Now I will import this. Then let's click on. So I did not did anything. I simply clicked over the import and then I am going to the file, OBF file, which I have got from this extraction. Then let's do next. I did next. Then this is giving all the details about it. This is the name. This is the OS, Red Hat. Then CPU by default is 1, RAM. This is 4 GB, 4096 MB, right? Then DVD, network adapter, all the details about it you will be getting here. Fine. This is going with the base folder, users, HP, VirtualBox, VMS, and all. Simply, we are not going to do anything. We are simply going to do the finish. That's it. So this will be doing all the import part, whatever is required from the backend, and then it will be making the system ready for you. So we have not to do any installation for Hadoop and all, like making the cluster. We can simply utilize this. We can, this is again one node cluster only. In the real time, we will be having 10 node cluster, 20 node cluster, means a small size cluster, middle and big size cluster according to the jobs and requirements, data and all. So this is freely available for us. Cloudera is providing for hands-on and all. So this is one node cluster, and with this you can do all your exercises. Again, if you think that I will not be working with this and you want to set up Hadoop and all in your laptop itself, you can download the Hadoop package and you can try to do the setup. In that case, without this Cloudera also, this import also you can work with that. So that will be a workaround for you, but you have to make sure that you have installed, downloaded and installed all the packages and that is working for you. Fine. So this Cloudera got imported here. As of now, if you see the state is power up. Then what we can do, go to system. As of now, system is having 4 GB. Then this is hard disk, optical and nested paging and all. If we want, we can make some changes. Like by default, it is saying that it has taken 4 GB. Let's say I want to have some good performance and I am looking for some more GB. Let's say I am giving not 8 GB, 6 GB is okay. I am giving that. You can take it, even 4 GB is also enough. Okay. Its default memory is 4 GB. Less than that, it will not be taking. Then processor wise, here by default one CPU is there. Let's say I am looking for 2 CPU, 3 CPU, 4 CPU. Based upon the availability of your system, you can take that. Then in a extended features, make sure that this is checked on. That's it. So simply I come to this motherboard, and in this motherboard, whatever memory you want to allocate to your Cloudera, either 4 GB it is taking by default, either you are having 6, you want 5 GB, 6 GB, 8 GB, you can allocate that, and accordingly this will be performing. Okay, and processor wise, you can take this as per your system. Then simply I'm doing okay. Then system is also, I wanted to do some changes here. You can say changes are uh, reflecting here. Then all good, nothing to do anything else. Okay, we are all good. Then either you can start from here or you can start from here, because setting is done, but still it is powered off. Let's start it. Click here and here we have start, normal start, headless start and detachable. So this is, we are going to do normal start only. Let's do this. And this will be taking some time, maybe a few minutes or 5 minutes. Okay, so we have to wait for that until, unless this is getting started. And okay, so let it start.
Anamika, what is the difference between those three start areas? When we will go for normal start and when we'll go for other start?
Uh, okay, let me go back to that. You are talking about this one, right?
Yes, Anamika.
It is coming to show. Okay, let it start. I just wanted to see. So we had a normal start, then we had second headless, I believe. I'm not remembering the complete name. And the third one, we had a detached one, right? So normal start we take when what it will do. This is the default way to start the Cloudera VM, I can say. If you are using the VirtualBox or VMware, where we are simply selecting the Cloudera VM and doing the start. So this will be opening the VM in a new window with a full graphical interface. Okay. And when we are going with the headless model, detached in the background mode, the third one again. So this will be starting the virtual machine without opening a graphical user interface window, and that is useful for saving the resources or remote access. Like if you want to work with SSH, secure cell.
Yes, Anamika.
Okay, so if you want to access with the remote using SSH, then you can work with that headless mode. Okay, and similarly, you can work with another model as well. With Even you can work with command line also. That is again one option for the GUI. I do not see that option here, but that will be in your real form whenever you have the latest version, where you can work with the uh, command line as well. You can do the start and you can work with the SSH model. Then we had the detached model, right? So detached model is again that is same like your second one, headless. Either you were talking about detached model or you were talking about headless. Both are simply in the same category, which will be running the virtual machine in the background without opening the graphical user interface, because here we are going to work with the graphical, and the VM will be still fully functional, whatever you are looking for. Like, but again, only thing is you have to good with the commands and all. So that will be there. And here in the Teams, I have already uploaded. Let me go to there. Okay, I will. Let's take that later. Let it complete it first. Or same here. In the OneDrive, I have uploaded the recording for my files. And if you go to the Cloudera setup, here I have a recording for the how you can set up this Cloudera VM in your machine, and then how you can uninstall. Because I will recommend that always when you are done with your hands-on, let's uninstall this, because installing will be taking few minutes and that's not a issue. We can do that, like how I imported and I'm doing that. Always you can repeat the same instead of keeping that running in your system, because this is going to take some memory, right? So not needed. If you want later, if you are having any issue, you can refer these as well and you can go through it. Actually, this takes some time. and you have to be with patience, like how we are in our real life, right? Okay, in between, anyone has any question or you want to discuss anything? No? Fine, then let me open one of the file until this is getting started. We will go to download and I have a file for Linux and Unix commands. Okay, I will share this file with you all. So here, once our system is ready, you can try out with these commands. These are required. Okay. Not all, I have mentioned many, but at least some basic levels you have to understand. Like we have ls, which is for listing the directory. Then we have cd for changing the directory. How you can run the command, you can go with the cd and then path to directory where you want to change. Then pwd, this is for printing the working directory, that where I am right now. For that, if you do the pwd, then this will be giving you the complete path. Then mkdir, if you want to create a folder, if you want to create a directory, then you can type this mkdir and your new directory name. Then this will be helping you to create the directory. Then whenever you have the files and directories and you want to remove that, you want to delete that, then using rm -r -f or -r -f both excluding, you can do that. Here you can see if you are doing rm file.txt, then this will be helping you to remove a file. If you are saying rm-r and your directory name, then this will be helping you to remove or delete your directory. Then using -r, recursively remove a directory and its content. Okay. Then you are having the folder name and file name. Then you want to, here you can see -f, where forcefully you want to remove a file without prompting for the confirmation as well. Then using -r and -f both in the combination, that will be helping you to delete, forcefully and recursively remove a directory and its complete content without any prompting. Similarly, you can do for the file and for the folder both. Then cp, if you have two directories, directory 1, directory 2, and you want to copy the file from one directory to another directory, you can run with the cp command. Cp, then your source, and this is your destination. So you can give source file name, destination file name, or source directory, means source file name, in which directory it is, give the complete path. For the destination, what is the file name, what is the directory, or in which directory you want to move that file. For the destination, file name is not required, only folder name is required. In which folder you want to move, you can do that. Even if you want, you can use -r as well if you want to work recursively. Similarly, you have mv command, which is for moving the file or renaming the file and directories. You can say mv, this is the old name, this is the new name. Or if you want to mv from this one to this directory to another directory. Then if you want to viewing or editing the file, then you have cat command, cat, then file.txt, then it will be opening the file for you. If you want to go with like view a file page by page, then you are having list, you are having head, you are having tail. Like that, you can try out all these commands and you can do this. If you want to work with the file permission, then anyone is aware about the file permission? Just I'm asking. So file permission means, let's say we are having a file and you want that. Okay, Ruchi, you know, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead. What is this?
Ma'am, in this file, it is simply the person who is creating the file is having the read, write, and execute option. Whereas if he want to lock the file, means if I have made the file and I do not want anyone to rewrite the file, then I will do the permission of only reading and reading only and executing, not for writing. So
Right.
it is And we can change the permission accordingly with us.
Right. So whenever we have a file, we want to make sure that who can read the file, who can make the changes in the file, and who can execute the file. Because in many cases, we want anyone to view the file, but we do not want to make any changes, right? Because maybe you can do something wrong. I simply don't want you to give the permission. In that case, we maintain the permission for the file and for the directories for the security and all. Okay, even we can enable hidden mode as well. That folder is there, but you will not be able to see that. We can hide. But let's not talk about the hide. Let's talk about the visible one only. It will be visible, but you will not be having the access. So if you are saying for any of the file directory 777, that means you are having the complete access, read, write, execute. And if I say 755, then your access got reduced. How this 77 works? There will be three groups: owner, group, and others. One's first 7 is for owner, second 7 is for groups, and third 7 is for others. So accordingly, they will be having the access. And again, 7 is divided into 3: read plus write plus execute. Read is for 4, write is for 2, and execute is for 1. So, and again, 7, first number is for the owner, second 7 is for the group, and third 7 is for the others. So that will be making sure that who can access. Here you can see in the second line, first number is 7. That means owner is having all the access. Then it is having 5, means 5 means group and others. They are not having all the access. They are having 5. 5 means what? 4 plus 1 means read plus execute, means they have the access for the read and they have the access for the execute, but not for the write. If you make it 722, means they are having the access for write only, but not read, not execute. That's not a good practice. Okay. In most of the cases, people are having access for execute only, even not for read and write. Then it can be 711. 11 means execute. In case I want to give you read access only, then I can say 7. I am the owner, so of course I will be keeping 7 with me. Okay. But for another one, I can say 7, and then I want to give read access only. I can say 4. Read 4 is for read. So 744. So another will be having only the read access. They can view the file, they can see the content, but either they can't write or they can't execute. So we can maintain the access level for the files and directory. Okay. Then we have another command, chown. This is for changing the file owner. Ch means change, own means owner. So if you want to change the owner, you can run this command. Okay. Then process management. Again, these are some helpful commands. You can go through that. PS, which will be displaying the list of current process. Then top, view running process in the real time. Then kill, which will be helping you to terminate a process. You can see kill, and with kill you can paste the process ID, then it will be terminating this. Then some networking commands are there, like ipconfig. If you want to get the IP address and all, then ping. Then you have netstate, and then you have a disk management. If you want to check out all the how much disk space is available or how much is used, then accordingly you can take the decision. Let's say one disk is there that is having the capability of 1 terabyte, but that is running out of space. Then or maybe you always you want to make sure that it should be having always 40% of the memory free for the better performance, better execution and all. Then accordingly you can do the monitoring, keep on monitoring. So you are having df-h, which will be displaying the disk space, disk usage. You have du, which will be again estimating the file space usage. Then you have system information, where you can go for the system information, uptime, free, so the memory usage. Then text searching, if you want to search the file based upon the text, like grep, pattern, and file text. Like in this file, let's say I have a file with 100 and 1000 lines. Out of that line, I don't want to read all the lines. I just want to see a line where some special content is there. Then you can search based upon the content. Okay. If you want to find a file or directory, let's say you want to find a file, but you don't know the path where it is, in which directory it is, then simply you can run this find command and give the file name or related file name, then it will be searching that file and it will be providing you the path. Okay. Here again, you are having some commands are there. You can refer that and you can explore all the things. Now, these are a few commands. I don't think that these are much. These commands will be helping you a lot. Either you are working with on-prem, you are working with cloud or anywhere. Okay. Always maybe you are not getting the requirement with to work with commands and all, but it is good if we know that. As a developer, we should know it. Okay. So that's a good if you are doing the exercise. And I will always recommend to do the exercise for each and everything. And again on the daily basis. Now again come back to this and this has been set up. Okay. If you see, this is one node cluster Cloudera. You can see a one node Hadoop cluster. You can refer this as well. Okay. So this is done. You can see one manager node is there. This is the IP address and one worker node is there. This is the IP address. IP address is the same. Now this virtual machine, this is opened in the virtual machine, right? This one and your computer, I am using a laptop and that laptop is different from this virtual machine. This is completely different. If I go to my machine, let's say command prompt, and I type here ipconfig. Okay. Now see the IP address for the Ethernet adapter. This is the IP address 192.168.56.1, and for the wireless LAN adapter Wi-Fi, you can see this is the IP address 192.168.1.7. Right. So this is the IP address for my system. But if you see the IP address here, this is completely different. That means both systems are behaving differently. There is no connection between them. Okay. If you see here, you can see this one, and here you can see this one. This is for the LAN adapter. So this is different. Both are behaving as a different machine. There is no connection. Only thing is this machine I have enabled over my laptop, my base machine. Now this is done. Now we have to start this virtual machine, and let me cancel that. Then I will take this and let me take it. Then here you can see you are having the computer, Cloudera, Eclipse, and Launch Cloudera Express and all. Even you can go to the file, you can see what all there, their machine settings, text, snaps, notes, session information, file manager, so the logs and everything. Then if you want to go with the view, you can go through here. You have the input, you have devices, you have help, many more things are there. You can go. What we have to do here now, we have to start this cluster. Okay, this is the Cloudera. This is a platform where we have one node cluster, Hadoop cluster is available, where we are going to do our exercise and all. So I will be launching this Cloudera. Let me, so here you can see this is the Cloudera expression, exercise. This is the trial version. This is launch Cloudera Express. So either you can start from here as well. Okay, you can run the command, or you can run directly this as, okay. Let me maximize this. So either you can type your command here or you can simply click here as well. So if I go to the command level, then let me go to the document one more time. And I have mentioned all the steps there. Okay. You can refer that very easily. If you see how we can import, how we can do the setup and how we can install. So we are here. So here it is started. Then here I have even mentioned my IP address as well. And then once you are done, then you can go with this Cloudera manager. Okay. And then you have, here you can see sudo home Cloudera manager -4 -enterprise. This command you can run. If you will run this, then it will be starting the server for you. And if you want, you can simply directly clicking there. So let's type this command. I will type, I will not run, I will not click here. If you want, you can click. So let me minimize this and then I can read the command. So let's take sudo and home, and then Cloudera. Then you can take Cloudera Manager. And then -- force. Then this is asking either you want the enterprise or express. Okay. Then you can take that either which one you want. You are looking for either enterprise or you are looking for the express. So let's go ahead, and then you can see I have given this enterprise, right? -- force, then enterprise. Then I will be taking this -- enterprise. And let's run this. If you see, this will be first shutting down all the service, and then this will be starting. Parallelly, let's say I wanted to work with the click model. Then here again you can click, and then it will be,
Yeah.
if you are
One
clicking
question,
here,
ma'am.
yes.
What is the difference between express and enterprise, and which scenario we will use which one, ma'am?
This is the different module. Okay. So if we talk about enterprise and another one is express, right?
Ma'am.
Yes, yes. So here, if you are doing this one, let's say, let me go step by step. This is keep on running. Let's go with that. So here, if you see here, I am simply clicking. So whatever command I gave here, you are getting the force. It is asking you to force, and when you are doing the force, then it is asking either you can do express or you can do the enterprise model. So if you are doing the express start, then it starts fewer services. It is having many services in the backend which is installed. Let's say 10 services are running or 20 services are installed. And if you want to start fewer services only, then it will be starting fewer services. And that is if you are working with some testing where you think that, okay, if I am doing this one, then at least this service will be started, and that is enough for me. Then it is good. So you can say it either testing or learning quickly. This is good, and it will be starting the services without full feature. Okay. Like Kerberos and Sentry models are there, and this will be having a limited capacity in the Cloudera Manager, but booting will be faster. It will be starting quickly. And what it will be, let's say you want to work with HDFS, Hive, Impala and all, that's it. Then you can go with that. You can say Express. And if you are going for the enterprise model, then this is going to start complete Cloudera services, whatever is installed there, everything. And this will be leading the Cloudera Manager with all the available services, like it is having Hadoop related, Impala, Spark, Scoop, whatever all services are available, every services will be started, and this will be bit slower comparing to express model, because express is going to start a few services only, right? This is going to start the complete services and resources, so it will be a little bit slow, means it will be taking more time, not slow, because it is going to start the complete service. Then again, if you, it will be good if you are going for the enterprise level testing and admin training and real time work and all, then enterprise is better. That's why I started enterprise, because I want to start all the services and not the few service. Okay.
Yeah, got it. Thanks for the clarification.
Okay. So here, here when I clicked, I have typed this command, right? Same command you can see here as well. When you will be typing, this will be asking you either you want to start with express or enterprise. You can take that. And if you click here, I have did this manually. If you will click here, again you are getting this, and then this is again for the trial version only. You can take that, and you can start your system. So let it get started. What it is doing, if you see here, shutting down CDH services. CDH means Cloudera. Okay, Cloudera and Hortonworks. Previously, when we were working with the Hadoop model, means I can say about 8 to 10 years back. At that time, we had different systems to work. Some were working with Cloudera, some were working with Hortonworks, and in different teams and companies, I got opportunity to work with both separately. But later they got merged. That's why this is CDH, Cloudera and Hortonworks. They are combined now, and they are working together with all the combined technologies and whatever better part they can, all the services has been included. Both the services are included at a place. So now this is CDH. Okay, so first what it did, it is shutting down all the CDH services, and then it is doing that with etc zookeeper config config file is there. This is starting with that, and then this is disabling the board. Then it is starting the Cloudera manager and everything. This will be doing all the things. So now this is saying that success. You can now log into Cloudera manager. This has started all the, you can see here starting Cloudera management service and enabling Cloudera manager daemon shortcut. Okay. Then it is saying that you can now go with the browser and you can work with this one. Let me copy this. Okay. And copy the link. And here you can see username and password. By default, this is Cloudera. Here you can see this is the browser. Let me go and I will paste this link. So let me go to the next tab and let me paste it. So this is for Cloudera manager. This is saying that information assurance policy that has been configured as a single node cluster with Cloudera manager. You can log in to the administrator to this cluster with the username and Cloudera and password Cloudera. Okay, so see, in the real time you will be having multi-node cluster. Cluster means what? Group of machines, right? You are having, let's say we are having 10 GB of file and we want to work with the server cluster. Then if you are having a single machine, then it will be taking more time. If you are having 10 machines, then you can split the task. You can distribute the task. You can command everyone to, okay, I am having 10 machines. Let's process for 1 GB. Then we can process quickly all the 10 GB data because we are having more machines. We can work parallelly, right? That's how in real time this model works. So we can have, according to the workload, we will be having multi-node cluster where task will be distributed, it will be splitted, and it will be working in the parallel mode. That's why we are good to process terabytes and petabytes of data in a limited time. Then, but this is the free version for you, where you are not going to do setup, installation, anything. You are simply importing and this is ready to use. Okay, this is really making our life easy. But this is single node cluster only, but not an issue. We are good to understand. We will be good to do all the exercise, practice and all. And then if you are doing good here, then you in real time also you will be good to do with the multi-node cluster. So let's be agree and provide the username and password. So username and password, let me minimize. And here you can see it said that username is Cloudera and password is Cloudera. Let's type the same here. Cloudera and password is also Cloudera. Let me maximize now and do login. Remember password, okay. Anyways, usually I do not keep it in my system. Once I am done, then I will remove it from my system. Tomorrow, if I need again, I will import and I will work. That's how I work because I do not want my system to keep preserve this memory and all. Okay. So if you see how many services are there, you can see host, key value store, Spark, Scoop 1, client Scoop 2, Yarn, HBase. This is the NoSQL database in Hadoop. Then HDFS. This is the main part of Hadoop. Then you have Hive, HDFS and Hive. We are going to discuss in detail. Then we have View, we have Impala, we have Uji, then Solar, then Zookeeper. Zookeeper is the backbone. You can say kind of any company you are having the leader, right? Who is the main leader? Kind of that. Zookeeper is the coordinator who is coordinating all the services. Either this is running fine or any issue, then how it has to be managed and all. Then this is complete Cloudera manager. From here, you can explore all the things like this is the cluster CPU, cluster disk, cluster network, HDFS input output, completed Impala queries and all. You can go with this is the configuration. You will be getting all the configuration for the services, all health issue, if all good. So as of now, no health issue for the cluster. If anyone who is working for the, let's say, Hadoop admin or Hadoop support team, so they're responsible for all the things. They are checking out about the disk usage, memory, health issues, or any issue with any of the system, any of the job. Let's say they got that this is having issue, then they will be restarting that. So they keep take care for everything. As a developer, no need to take care of that because you are going to focus more over the development activity. Here, if you want to start individual service, then also you can do, let's say this is the HBase. If you want to start, you can start, you can restart. This is the HDFS. If you want to do, you can again do the start. And here you have Zookeeper. So what I will do, I will start this even. Okay, let me try out first, then I will start. Here we have the terminal. What I will do, just I showed you the Linux commands, right? So let me try out that. What I will do, I will type ls. If ls, this is listing all the things, Cloudera Manager, CM API, this is by default available. Okay, let me do ll. Then this is again listing. This is same here. It is coming with all the details. Here this was not coming with the details. Now, if you focus on this part, we were discussing about the access part, right? So if you see, this is D means directory. Okay, so you can exclude this. After this, you can see this one. This one means what? RWX. R means read, W means write, X means execute. Means owner is having all three permission. Read, write, execute. Means R means 4, write means 2, execute means 1. 4 plus 2 plus 1, 7. For second group, RWX. Again, this person has all the access. For third, others, only read access and execute access, but no write access. For write, this is having hyphen, right? Means this access is 7, 7, and 5, not 7. No one is having as of now 7, 7 access. But if we want, we can change. Let's say I will take this file only. Let me take this as an example. I will say chmod 777. Okay. And then CM API. This is done. Now let's do LL. Now what you see, this is having all the access. 777 I did, right? And this one is not. This here in between R and X, there was no W. Means this did not had any write access. So you can manage the access. Here it is having write access for each one, everyone. And for file you are seeing hyphen. For directory, this you are seeing this is starting with the D. Okay. Again, I want to change the permission for the same file. 777 is not okay. Then I will say 755 means they are having read access. Read means 4, 1 means execute. 4 plus 1, 5. I want to have 7 for the owner, all the access. For the remaining group, I want 5, 5. Means they should not be able to write or edit the file. They should be good to only read and execute. I can do that. Now let's do this. You can see now permission has been updated. For both the another group, they are not having W access. Right is not there because I did 755. I removed the 2. 2 number is for read, write. Okay. Likewise, if I want to again back with the original one was this. No, it was the above. So I can do again same. 7, then 7, and then 5. Means owner and group is having 7, 7, and others is having only read access, read and execute, but no write. So here you can see now if I will do again, it has been reverted to the original, right? If you verify it, then you will be getting it. Here it was the same. Now, similarly, if you want to change the permission for the directory level. So let's say this is, let me create one directory, or let me not create, let me take this. Okay, better to create only. I will create one directory, mkdir test. Okay, then do ll. If you do ll, you can see test directory has been created. And for this, you can see this is the permission with default one. Okay. Now, and now do LL. So now test is having full access, right? Everyone can do anything. And you can see this has been highlighted by the system. This is coming in green. Green means this is having complete access. Anyone can do, but there is the risk. They can edit my file, so they can modify that. And if I want to restrict, I mean, inside this folder, what will be there? What is the existed files and folders and all? Person will be having access to the all. And we should not be preferring this. We should be always practicing the good one. What is the good practice? We should follow that. So let's remove the permission. Why I need everyone to have all the access? So let's make 5. They will be having read, they will be having execute, but no write. Now we do this. Okay. Then you can see for the test, access has been changed. For another person, there is no, for the group, there is no W. For the others, there is no W. Okay. Ruchi, want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I want to know about LL command.
Okay. Let's come to the document again. I will refer the same because I have mentioned there. This was the command. This one, right? If you see the ls, this is for listing the directory. Okay, I have not mentioned for the ll. Okay. So let me go to the back. So come here. If you see, if we are doing the ls, then this is the giving like this. If you are doing LL, then this is doing like this. So LS is list the files. This is going to list all the files and folders, but this is not giving all the details. Okay, this will be listing. But not giving any details. Even you can say ls-l. Okay, ls-l means long listing the format. If you do ls-l, then again this is going with the same. With the LL model only, right? That means this is long listing. LS is only listing the file name and folder name without any information. And if you are coming with ls-l or if you are coming with LL, then it will be coming with the listing. Listing means it, you can say ls equal to, here you can say list files. List files, okay. And if you talk about LL, then you can say long listing. Even you can say long listing alias. Okay, so mostly you can say long listing. This will be giving all the details, like whenever file was created and who is the owner and what is the size, everything. Then again, there is one more command. Let me tell that ls-a. Okay, ls-a and then do ls. Then you see the differences. In ls, you are seeing the less one, right? And in ls-a, you got many. Why you are getting many? That means there are some hidden files and hidden folders. Okay, you can see with dot. If you are doing -a, then all the hidden one also will be visible here. If you want, you can do that. So mostly you can say for the ls and ll, this is for the listing the files and directory. If you are doing ls, then that is the basic format. And if you are doing the ll, then this will be the long listing, which will be giving more detail and all. Okay, hope you got it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Then we are here. Okay, so if we want to do anything, we can run our local Linux and Unix commands, and I will recommend that you should go with this. So let's do something. I just created a one folder test, right? Let me create one more mkdir learning. I created. Let me do cd learning. CD means what? I want to change my path. Before changing the path, let me do LL, and I am seeing that learning is created. Okay. Now I will check the current directory where I am right now. So current path is home and Cloudera. This is the default path here. Now I want to change the path. I want to go into the learning folder. Simply we can use CD. CD is for change the directory, and we can say learning. Okay. Now I am into the learning. Here you can see learning is there. Even I can do PWD, printing work directory. Print working directory, and now my path is this one. Above path was this. Okay. So I am entered into this directory. Now I want to create a file. I will just show you some basic commands, then you can take it ahead with all the commands I have mentioned in the file. So let me do this. You can create in the many ways. One thing is, let's say cat. Cat is for viewing the file. If you want to show the see the content and all, display the content. But again, if you have with this also, you can say, let's say test.txt. Okay, and you can write something. Hi, I am learning data engineering. Okay, simply I will quit. I simply did Control Z. Okay, I stopped the process. Now let me open. You can see one file is there, test.txt, right? Let me open the file. Cat command is there. Cat and test.txt file name. You can see this is the file content, right? Whatever I did here.
If we'll mention cat greater than symbol with the file name, automatically file will be created and we can write something inside that file name.
Correct. Even if you want to append and all, you can do. And for better practice, you can take VI. This is kind of editor. Okay. So let's say I am taking VI and I will do the same. Same file I want to, even you can do with this also. Let's say cat and test dot. Okay, let me quit from here. You will be getting confused. Let me take the simple way. So you are getting with this test file, right? Let me create one more file with VI, because in real time I usually don't prefer this cat model. If I have to do something, I go with the VI editor, because I feel that that's good. And so I feel comfortable with that. Even you can think about which one is better for you. So let's say VI. I want to create a file, and file is learning Hadoop, learning Linux. Learning Linux.txt. This is my file name. You can keep anything. Now this will be opening this. Okay. Here you want to insert. If we want to write something, right? Then you have to press I key over the laptop. I simply pressed I, then it is giving me insert. You can see insert now. I can write anything. Hello. This is a live training. We will be covering Hadoop and cloud modules. Okay, that's it. Only 2 lines. Now I want to close this. I wrote whatever I wanted to. Then I have to press ESC escape and then colon, then WQ. Here you can see in the down. I pressed ESC button and then the colon, then WQ. That will be helping to save my file. Then this symbol. Then enter. Done. Now if you see, I have one file learning. Let me open this cat and learning. You can see I wrote this, right? Now let's say I want to modify the file. Again, I can go with the VI, and here I am having 2 lines. Again, I will be pressing I will be enabling the insert. Then I will be going to the next, and then I'm saying, okay, we are done with modifying the file. Modifying this file, right? That's it. Now again, I will save this content. I will press the ESC button, then colon, then WQ, and then this. Done. Now let's do again, and VI, not VI. Let's do cat and learning file. See, we are having now this additional line as well, right? Even I did by mistake 1 comma, that was not required. If we want to modify, we can do that. Let me do I, and I will correct the mistake, whatever I had, and I will resave again. I saved it. Then if I open, I can see this. So like this, you can work with the files. Now I will create one more folder. I will go back. Even inside the folder also I can create the folder. I can say mkdir and Hadoop. Okay. Now let me go here and you can see I have 2 files and I have 1 folder. But I will go back to the previous path and I will create 1 folder parallel to the learning. Let me go cd dot dot. Cd dot dot means you want to change the directory, but you want to go back. Dot dot means 1 step back. Okay. If you want to go with the many steps, then you can even say slash dot 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 and you can give multiple. Like let me go with cd Hadoop. I am into Hadoop. Okay. Now if I go pwd, I am into learning and inside Hadoop, I change the directory with Hadoop. Now I want to go back with the Cloudera. I want to go here. Okay. I can say cd dot dot. If I am doing cd dot dot, then I will be going 1 step back. Now I am into learning. And again, if I will be writing cd dot dot, then again 1 step back. Now I am at the correct path. But I will go again the same. Let me go there. I want to show something. Then I will do cd Hadoop. Now again I am with the same path, right? Now I want to go back to the Cloudera. Then I will do cd dot dot slash dot dot. That means 1 step back, then 1 step back. Then in the single step, I came back here. Right? So either you want to go 1 step by step or you want to go with multiple steps, you can. So this dot dot will be this cd means change directory only, but this dot dot will be keep on moving step back. And if you are giving a name with the cd, then this will be entering to the directory. This is the difference. Okay, changing directory. Then here let me create one more folder, mkdir test files. Test files. I have the directories test files and I have the directory learning. If I go to the learning, if I will do ll learning, means I want to just see what about the learning folder, what is inside it. Then it is saying that okay, you are having a Hadoop folder, you are having learning.txt, you are having test file. I want to move this file to this folder. I just created test files, right? I want to copy the file. I can say cp. Let me first take the pwd working directory. This is the one. Now I will say cp. Then this is the path. Let me copy this. And I will do paste. And then learning. And then I am having learning Linux. And where I want to move, this is my source. My target is this test file. Let me do, even you can put full path, or if you are in the root directory, then it is okay. Then learning, learn test files, not learning. Test files. Done. Now let's do ll for test files. See, this file has been copied here also, right? I had not created, I just created this folder. That means if you want to create a, means you have the files in the another one, if you want to copy, if you want to move, if you want to rename, all the things you can do. Like I am going to the test directory and I am having one file learning.txt. I want to rename this. I will simply do mb, then learning, and I want to make it new name .txt, new file name. Okay, done. Now you see file name has been changed. So like that you can work with the Linux command, and I will suggest that go through all these commands. I will be sharing this. Okay, and do the exercise. then you will be good with the Linux, and then in the same terminal you can work with Hadoop also, HDFS also. HDFS we will be discussing in details tomorrow, but today we are already leading with the time. It is around 9, but just give me 1 minute. I will be going here, and let me here if we are doing let's say ls, then you are working with the local command. This is Linux or Unix, right? If you want to work with Hadoop command, then you have to run hdfs hyphen hdfs dfs hyphen ls, and then it will be working for you. Or Hadoop fs hyphen ls, then that will be working for you. So command will be almost same. When you are good with the Linux or Unix command, you will be good to work with Hadoop command also. Okay. And as of now, there is connection refuge. I have to restart the service, that we will see tomorrow. Just I wanted to show you that here you can go with Hadoop. You can go with Hadoop FS hyphen ls. So with Hadoop or with HDFS command, same command will be same. ls, ll, mkdir, cp, mb command will be same. Only this will be appended because you are working with Hadoop. That will be working with the distributed file model. Like here, I will show you HDFS commands. So here you can see you have to work with kind of Hadoop FS, then copy, then like that, like Hadoop FS, mkdir. So if you are working with local, then simply you are saying mkdir and create the directory name like this. But if you are working with Hadoop, then you have to append this. First you have to write a Hadoop FS, then you write with hyphen mkdir and all. Then this will be getting treated as Hadoop command. Or if you want to work with HDFS, then you have to write this and then same. So local command will be Linux only, but only you have to work with the Hadoop one. So
What
this
is the
is for
difference between Hadoop and HDFS, ma'am?
Hadoop and HDFS. Hadoop is the term, and HDFS is the part for distributed file system. Okay. The full form is Hadoop distributed file system, which we work with the means we take it for the file system, how file systems are getting managed and taking care of each and everything. Anyway, we will be discussing with the more details tomorrow. Okay, with Hadoop, HDFS, and all the Hadoop like HDFS commands and all, we will be taking that. Anyone has any other question?
I don't have any, ma'am.
Okay.
No, Anamika.
Okay, fine then. Then what I will do, you all give me your details, right? So I can take care of that if I have to share any info or anything. And then I can here in the recording folder itself, you will be getting the recordings when we will be end up the crawl. Then this will be saved here itself. You can go through this recording folder and you can revise whatever you need. And then here I will be uploading the documents and Cloudera setups and everything will be here. You can just share your details and all, then we can take care from there. Fine.
So, Anamika, should we be dropping our mails to your personal LinkedIn account or over there itself? It's
You
good.
can share one-on-one to me
Sure.
anywhere, either LinkedIn or WhatsApp or in Teams also. If you want to ping me personally, you can.
Sure.
Okay.
So, Anamika, I
Fine.
have one simple question.
Yeah.
Like Cloudera is, can we have Cloudera environment for Mac as well? Because I'm using Mac and I'm not aware of Windows properly.
I have not tried out honestly.
Oh, okay. No issues. Let me figure this out. How
You
can we?
can try. Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm using Mac, but there is a virtual box, we can install Windows in our virtual box. That's how it can work. Like for some of the applications, I tried that way. Like for the
Okay.
Power BI, we can't use directly in our Mac, but we can install Windows in our Mac in a virtual box.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
You can try out.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, fine then. Let's meet tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you for the session, Anamika.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Robin, can